Greetings, viewers. Eric the Car Guy here, also known as ETCG1 when I post videos to this channel. And I start things off on this channel with, hey, if it's your birthday, happy birthday. Please enjoy this digital confection that I found for you. Now that we have the pleasantries out of the way, I'm sorry to make this like the third week in a row I've talked about this issue, but it has been resolved. And I'm not going to take up a lot of your time in this video, but firstly, I want to thank all of you, not only for all of your suggestions for things to do, everything from digging in different places, to putting in a well, to putting in a water tank, to offering your actual help, your physical help to come and help me out, either renting the equipment, telling me how to use it, helping me dig a ditch, all those types of things. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, because I'm a guy sitting here alone in this shop at the moment, but this is going out to all of you, and I certainly feel all of you in those comments and all that stuff that you send my way, and the well wishes and all that kind of thing. So thank you for that. I truly appreciate it. That said, the water issue has been resolved, and I think you're gonna like how I solved it. And that is, I talked to my neighbor. And they've been here much longer than me, obviously, and they knew the previous owners, but more importantly, they were able to get me the information of the company that did the repair last time. And my thinking was that if I could contact them, I could find out, one, how long ago it was repaired, if there was some kind of warranty with it that maybe could carry over to me, that type of thing. Anyhow, I got that company to come out, inspect that. They saw that where they had done the work, they had fixed it, was no longer fixed. And a couple of days later, they sent me an estimate. And that estimate was 1/3 of the estimate that I had before, which, if you remember, was $60,000. Now, in that estimate, what they were talking about doing, and this is the part that you're probably going to love. So the original estimate was for taking a machine and every 100 feet or so, digging a hole in the driveway and running the pipe directly under the driveway again. That's not what's being proposed by the people that have offered me a much better price on doing this, something that's way more manageable, $18,500 to be specific. Anyhow, to run the line from the meter, which is going to be a 1-inch line. By the way, many of you pointed out that I should size up from the 3/4 to a 1-inch line going from the meter to my house. Well, apparently I didn't know this, but this was something that was already done. So it already is a 1-inch line coming out of the 3/4 inch at the meter to the house. It is going to be, again, a 1-inch line. They're also going to give me a T coming into my hydrant out in front of the shop. I don't know if you remember that, along with this price and everything. But instead of digging every 100 feet or so down the driveway, many of you made the suggestion, and I kept pushing back against it. I even made a video and talked about it directly. They're going to dig right along the side of the driveway. They're not going to put it under the driveway. And I think that's kind of hilarious, because believe me when I say this, there are many times when I learn just as much from you as you do from me, and that was certainly one of those times. And you know, the path of least resistance, it just makes the most sense. And I've come around, okay, obviously. But that said, they're going to dig pretty much along the side of the driveway the entire run until they get close to the house, where they have to go under the driveway, and they're going to do something called shooting. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but they're going to shoot. They say they actually have some machine that fires some kind of something through the muck, and then they're able to run the line through that and connect it and all that kind of stuff. I'm not really sure exactly of the technology, but I was going to say that this would be the last video on this topic, but I think you're like me and you're curious and you want to see how they do this and this stuff going in. And if I'm allowed, that's exactly what I intend to do, get some footage of them doing that. And that is going to be scheduled for, I believe, November 22nd, so towards the end of November. I got to wait a bit longer and let things get cold and let that water that's leaking out of the driveway potentially turn into an ice slick at the top of a hill. But I will deal with that, because, well, I have been dealing with it. In fact, I feel like the problem is managed in a way. I've just gotten used to doing this whole water thing. And then I stop and think about people in other parts of the world who may be like walking 5 miles to get a bucket of water out of a muddy whatever. and then carry it 5 miles back to wherever they are just so that they can cook their food for that day if they're able to have any. You know, I think along those lines sometimes, and I really appreciate the stuff that I have, and that's an extreme example, but my point is there are people out there suffering way more than me, and if I'm able to take care of my water problem on a daily basis and do that, well, that's what I'm going to do. And buckets of water in the shower to flush the toilets, occasionally turning the water on to run the dishwasher or the washing machine or anything that requires some kind of water. I've gotten used to it again. Anyhow, thank you so much again for all of your offers of help and suggestions and everything. You guys are awesome. Next week, we're going to talk about something else, okay? But thank you for bearing with me through this. I just wanted you to know that you were right, and I've come around to the way you were thinking. That's why I made this video, so good on you. Thank you so much for watching today. Always help at ericthecarguy.com if you have automotive questions, linked in the description along with, I don't know, stuff. So check the description. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty, and I'll see you next time.